Durant, Garnett on the slam. Oh, here's a Curry way downtown. Oh, what a shot from Curry.
It was one of those random nights, and we got the notification out of absolutely nowhere. Kevin Durant was due to be a Phoenix Sun. In the transaction, they'd send Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, 23, 25, 27, and 29 first-round picks, as well as a first-round pick swap in 28. Jay Crowder was also a casualty of war here, as he'd been desiring apparently. Eerily enough, if you'll recall, KD didn't even play his first game with Phoenix until March, as he was nursing yet another injury, which had been the catalyst for a total destruction of Brooklyn's experiment. Phoenix was 30-27 on the day of the deal, very far behind expectations set years ago when they were 2 wins away from a title. In the time since, they'd suffered pure humiliation from Luka while getting into hot water over DeAndre Ayton's contract. It was a panic move. We were so close. If we just add a shot to the system, we'll be over the top in no time. Sometimes championship windows don't reopen, so snagging KD before a rival did after a couple of disappointments wasn't a horrible idea. It was just doomed from the start. A jaw-dropping 3 games into his tenure, he sustained one of the dumbest injuries we've ever seen during a pre-game warm-up. For any other player, this would have seemed reasonable. But for the legend now picking up some freak accident injury nearly every year, does anybody even remember when his career just flat out almost ended in 2021? Regardless, this infraction occurred on March 8th, forcing him to miss crucial time leading up to the playoffs. He saw no more action with his brand new, supposed to be contending group until March 29th. Leaving merely 7 possible games to tune up for a title run. Needless to say, this wasn't happening, and the postseason wasted 0 time being completely unforgiving. The Clippers, without the services of a freshly injured Paul George, walked into Phoenix and took Game 1 behind Kawhi's return to dominance, nearly snatching Game 2 as well. Instantly, there was no guarantee the new super team attempt would even get through round 1, as anybody watching could see a feature which would plague this unit for years going forward. They simply didn't have the lineups. Outside of the 4 main faces, the supporting cast wasn't complementary or versatile enough to hang long term, which likely would have been exposed here if Leonard didn't go down with his yearly injury. Through sheer default, they'd advance to meet Denver. Okay, healthy Chris Paul or no Chris Paul, the Nuggets were a superior, deeper unit who were headed for greater things. DeAndre Ayton was also pretty clearly near the end of his tenure, the heat from the early contract disrespect boiling over to visible on-court issues now. Still, they had a wing duo of Booker and Durant to work with, which couldn't be terribly difficult to complete as a contending core, right? In February of 2023, Matt Ishbia had purchased the Suns, explaining the quick and rash moves to push the team towards a title. On June 6, 2023, he continued in this light as Phoenix sent Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, 4 future first-round pick swaps and 6 future second-round picks away for Isaiah Todd, Jordan Goodwin, and Bradley Beal with a no-trade clause. Anyone remember that time new ownership took over another franchise and immediately tried to rush a title? Okay, this move was peculiar from the jump because on one hand, they did need to be aggressive. Durant was mid-30s and it wasn't like he had forever to post one with Booker. Knowing so, was it necessarily logical to go snag another guard who was routinely missing large amounts of games to complete things? What was the rest of the roster gonna look like? Who was the point guard? Speaking of those, as part of the Lillard deal, the Suns would include DeAndre Ayton and Toumani Camara, by the way, to take back use of Nurkic, Keon Johnson, and Nasir Little. Typing this might be the first time I realized they lost out on Toumani fucking Camara in this mess, oh dear. Overall, the attempt at a supporting cast for these 3 quickly became a non-issue, replaced by the fact those 3 literally couldn't stay on the floor together, surprise. Somehow KD would be the healthiest of the 3, missing only 7 games while Book played 68 and Beal appeared in 53, not too unlike his previous seasons. The turbulent campaign still resulted in 49 wins, causing many to believe they'd have scratched as a contender had they been granted more time. It didn't matter. The West rolled out 5 50-win teams, some of which had way more continuity, including Minnesota. This was a series I got wrong. I actually thought scheme-wise Phoenix had enough to edge it out, which was proven completely untrue when Anthony Edwards flat out dog-walked the vets. He put out 31 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 51 and 44% shooting splits while adding the cherry on top. It was a sign of many issues now facing the big 3. New, younger stars were here. Teams were built way better. Teams were way deeper. As a matter of fact, just to answer the discourse that began surrounding the idea of a big 3, the last trio to actually contend without almost any adequate depth were the 2011 Miami Heat. 3 perimeter hoopers and literally no standard point guard just wasn't cutting it. But oh buddy, the problems were so much worse. Headed to 2025, we were now looking at a roster with nearly no flexibility, constant health scares, aging, and nearly no draft capital. Even worse, if they decided they wanted to move on or in a slightly different direction, it was at the mercy of whatever Bradley Beal would allow to happen. I assume this is some of what his stretch as a sixth man has been, amongst other things. With the three continuing to work through time on and off the floor, by the trade deadline, it was fairly clear what needed to happen. The additions of Tyus Jones and eventually Nick Richards weren't even bad ideas, all things considered. They just weren't nearly enough. It was also time to start dealing with the reality of Durant's contract. With no ink after 2026, this kind of became the time frame to figure things out. It resulted in trade talks. Amongst the other craziness around the league, it began to seem likely KD would be the next big name on the go. Maybe a return to the Warriors? Memphis was thrown around again, but somehow, no deal. His camp made it known a reunion with Golden State at the moment wasn't a desire. He later explained he basically didn't think the moves they'd have to make to get him mid-season were beneficial for either side. With no other adequate deals, they chose to ride out the rest of the miserable season. Headed toward absolutely bottoming out, honestly. 11 seed with 29 wins at the time of this documentation, there's almost not a single positive vibe surrounding the team. It appears to be the worst kept secret that Durant will be moved over summer. Booker, although currently doing the thing where stars talk about how much they love the team that drafted them, just had another year of his prime all but wasted, and there's still no real read on how they'll handle Beal's contract, who holds all the cards and a $57 million player option for 2027. Good luck getting him to turn another free bag down. In any case, the Suns fuckery is for another video. What now becomes of a KD who's slowly marching toward 40? He remains one of the league's great players, by the way. Scoring average has barely changed, could clearly plug into a better situation and help further it. Yet, I just said he's marching toward 40. He'll be 37 at the start of next season in whatever new thread he's been presented. This automatically calls a few teams into question. If you're a young core looking to get over the hump, how many assets do you use to get a guy who can't possibly stick around too much longer? Also know there is zero chance it'll be a smooth ride. He's probably going to miss games, he's probably going to pick up a random injury, and your roster will need to survive some type of stretch without him. If you're a young team feeling you're one piece away, how far in do you go to take the risk? Will you be able to match the offer of a team whose timeline he actually fits? I could easily see a world where the Warriors move heaven and earth to take the move, allowing the core to more or less finish their careers together in an unexpected reunion. I'd also totally understand why Minnesota gets in the mix. They're quietly in a really bad situation for a team who needs to keep their young star happy long term, and bringing in KD to maximize this unit's remaining time wouldn't surprise me. I've also heard Houston mentioned, but do you feel you're close enough to a title to warrant banking on him to deliver it? Dallas felt like a no-brainer until Kyrie tore his ACL, and now we're left without a clue of when he and AD would even share the floor together. And of course, we've always heard this thing about OKC and a possible reunion. So if they're to be eliminated prematurely, who's to say? We've seen crazier things. Finally, you've just got to, at this point, take into account literally everything that's transpired since he left Golden State. Sure, much of it's been out of his control, as I documented with his curse video years ago, but when do you just acknowledge there's certain things which are going to happen when KD is on your team? This is why I lean more towards a unit like Golden State, who are clearly doing everything they can to finish the Steph era properly, and so far after the trade deadline have been successful. You need to be used to KD. You need to have other vets who won't be inconvenienced for the future when things are rocky in the present. We'll know here in a few months, but through yet another failed tenure with another random team, Kevin Durant shall once again be on the move. Where do you think he's off to? Be sure to leave that in the comment section, along with hitting the like button and the bell next to my name if you want notifications every time a new video drops. Appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next one.